It's a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. 2 children have died after consuming a drink made out of a powder known as Foster Clark. 4 other children who consumed the same drink are currently receiving medical attention. The incident occurred at Cemetery Street in Kumba, Mehmet Division in the southwest region of Cameroon. We'll also tell you how about 85 Cameroonians have been arrested by the Nigerian immigration for cyber crimes in River State. The suspects were apprehended during a joint operation with other security agencies following credible intelligence reports that led to their hideout in that state. Those are major stories. Stay with us for greater details. If you're just joining us, then know you're watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. 2 teenagers have died at Cemetery Street in Kumba 3 subdivision, Mehmet Division, the southwest region of Cameroon. 7-year-old Joshua and 2-year-old Prince Will died after consuming a drink made of a powder known as Foster Clark. 4 others who drank the same drink are currently being monitored by doctors at a private hospital in the Tam neighborhood. The divisional officer for Kumba 3, Alfred Mende, who visited the victims and family of the bereaved, have called for vigilance. Smart Gabriel reports.
Prayers from a man of God calling the Almighty to return life to 7-year-old Joshua and 2-year-old Prince Will won't bring back the teenagers who died after consuming Foster Clark. It was late Tuesday evening that the people of Cemetery Street in Kumba 3 subdivision were taken aback with the news about the 2 kids who died. Out of the 6 that consumed the juice, 4 are battling for survival in a private clinic at Ntam neighborhood. Amongst them, 2 from the same family, Ambesi Dinalin and Ambesi Maxwell, as well as Ngangu Precious.
We were playing card, we were standing, drinking water, someone won. So I'm a come out to buy food. Now, that guy was working. And so that's why I was told they will make us here.
Informed about the incident, the divisional officer of Kumba 3 subdivision, Alfred Mende, will first make a stopover at the scene of the incident before visiting the victims at the private clinic. At the compound of late Joshua and Prince Will Wednesday, mourners regret the sad incident that took away the 2 children. When the doctor came, the one I was carrying had already died, and even before I could put him on the bed, I was told the smallest one had also fallen. Joshua and Prince Will have been taken to Bali in the northwest region for onward burial.
Even from news in Kumba, it's exactly 2 years today that the journalist of Amplitude FM in Yaoundé, Martinez Zogo, was found dead in a bogo found on the outskirts of Yaoundé in the central region of Cameroon. 2 years after, the final court verdict is still pending. Anabila traces how it all happened in this report.
January 22, 2023 to January 22, 2025 marks exactly 2 years that the journalist of Amplitude FM with a critical pain, Martinez Zogo, was found dead and his body decomposed almost beyond recognition at a bogo on the outskirts of Yaoundé. The court case has been ongoing for 2 years now with over 14 audiences and has been adjourned several times. The principal culprits are still to be identified and definitely punished according to the law. After the discovery of the mutilated body of Martin Zogo, the presidency ordered for an urgent investigation, which led to the arrest of 17 persons, among them personalities such as Jean-Pierre Amugu Belinga of Vision Cat Television, who is still in pre-trial detention, Maxime Kto, and Lieutenant Colonel Justin Danwe, all of them holding top positions in Cameroon. Highlights of the events concerning the Martin Zogo murder case was the freedom of Jean-Pierre Amugu Belinga and Leopold Maxime Kto by the judge of the military court, Aimé Florence Sikatikamu, at that moment, but that was annulled immediately by another judge who was appointed by a presidential decree almost at the same time. The biological family of Martin Zogo and the professional family of Amplitude FM, plus Camerooners as a whole, are still poised at seeing to it that justice be done concerning the Martin Zogo murder case. Meantime, the corpse of Martin Zogo is still at the mortuary of the Yaoundé Central Hospital.
Staff Lady Annabila reporting there. The state of civil markets in Douala and other parts of Cameroon leaves much to be desired. A case in point is the Sadaga market in the Douala 1 subdivision. Here, heaps of garbage could be found even at the entrance into the market. Those who frequent the market say they are exposed to all sorts of water and airborne diseases. Seri Jakutio takes us to the Sadaga market in his report.
Mud and runoff water do not always make it easy to access the vegetable sector at the Sanaga market in Douala. Users who go there have difficulties finding their way because of the slippery path. A mixture of food debris and rotten vegetable stems thrown by traders projects nauseating odors. Not far away, a trash can stretches as far as the eye can see, proof that the garbage has been lying around for a long time. This is how the market is very dirty. It is really difficult for us traders and even difficult for those who come to buy. We have no choice. All we do is we push the garbage far and put our goods where it is clean. At times it is filthy here, so we just carry the dirt and dump at the back. That's why you see it slippery. What else can we do? A picture not at all pleasant to see.
Nous sommes habitués, on va faire comment, on n'a pas le choix. Parce que chaque fois on balaye, le matin c'est déjà plein. Donc c'est comme ça.
According to the traders we met, the dump created at this location was emptied. In a short time, the garbage were again deposited on the same spot.
Nos éboueurs font des efforts de balayer l'espace marchand du marché Sandaga tous les jours que Dieu a créé.
They put the blame on the company in charge of cleaning the area who is not doing their job.
Et généralement, quand nous déversons à l'arrière du marché, la société Isaac vient transporter. Mais depuis le mois de décembre, ça balance. Ils peuvent passer une fois par semaine pour venir enlever ces immondices et ça fait beaucoup de mal aux commerçants du marché Sandaga.
The situation is not different in other markets in Douala. This phenomenon does not attract the attention of the traders who set up their stalls and tables all around. They all call on the government for help.
Over to our political page. Ahead of the forthcoming presidential election, lawyers of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party decry pre-electoral fraud maneuvers intended to maintain the BS regime in power. They are pointing an accusing finger towards the elections organizing body LECAM and the Constitutional Council after the latter refused to examine and render judgment on the party's legitimacy. Babla Jonathan has greater details.
The Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party lambasts the Constitutional Council for declaring itself incompetent to handle the pre-electoral litigation filed by Professor Maurice Kto's party over the failure by Elections Cameroon (ELECAM) to publish the National Electoral List on December 30, 2024, as required by Article 80 of the Electoral Code. One of the lawyers of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Barrister Fabien Kenye, decries the fact that the Constitutional Council sent back the petition to ELECAM. The CRM points to what is considered as the Constitutional Council's maneuver to cover up the flaws of Elections Cameroon to the benefit of the regime in power. The role of the Constitutional Council, as spelled out in Articles 46, 47 and 48 of the Constitution of the Republic, is thus put to question.
Still in politics, CRM President Professor Maurice Kto has criticized the press release of Jean Kto, who is the Secretary General of the CPDM Party of January 14, addressing political and civil society actors on their bitter reactions on the economic and socio-political ills of the country. Professor Maurice Kto sees his outing with having a lot of arrogance, and he further reiterates his full participation in the presidential election, whether the CPDM or BS regime wants it or not. Details with Innocent Aze.
The CRM president is firing back at the Secretary General of the CPDM Central Committee, Jean Kto, for using arrogance in a press release dated January 14 to denounce the statements and actions of political and civil society actors who draw the attention of Cameroonians to the dramatic situations in their country. Jean Kto qualified these as anti-republican, irresponsible and condemnable actions which aim at destabilizing the republic. According to Professor Maurice Kto, among the three words, he includes the one which would consist of preparing consciences for possible violence in the perspective of announced defeats for some or non-participation in the presidential election for others. He adds that the Secretary General of the CPDM Central Committee, who speaks of the announced defeats of some, has probably not realized that it is his own comrades in the party who have been announcing since at least 2023 the defeats of the CPDM in the upcoming presidential election, and find no other way out of their debacle than a military coup that would deprive the elected candidates of the CRM of power. He adds, the very Republican Secretary General of the CPDM has never said even half a word to denounce this disastrous call for an anti-Republican act by officials of his party. The CRM leader furthers, Jean Kto has closed his eyes and covered his ears from seeing and hearing the Minister of Territorial Administration, a popular activist of the CPDM, who since 2021 has been trumpeting that the CRM would not be able to present a candidate in the upcoming presidential election, adding, Maurice Kto will not be a candidate contrary to the current state of law on the matter. Professor Maurice Kto reiterates in his response to Jean Kto and his CPDM party that he will be a candidate in the 2025 presidential election because his candidacy will be presented in conditions consistent with the Constitution of Cameroon and the Electoral Code. He urges Cameroonians from all regions of the country and the diaspora to continue to register on the electoral list even more massively than last year, to go and vote as massively on election day, to monitor their votes with absolute vigilance, and to defend them for a grand democratic change in 2025.
Innocent Aze reporting there. Cameroon is mourning the death of former Governor George Ashu Mofo, one-time governor of the East region, formerly known as the East Province. The List A ENAM graduate is being heralded as the only governor of the BS regime to have resigned from active service. Ashu Mofo resigned on the 19th of October 1992, citing intimidation, witch hunting, electoral fraud, and other forms of malpractices within the ruling CPDM government in which he was part of. Fomiam Sada has greater details.
On the 19th of October 1992, George Ashu Mofo, serving then as the governor of the East Province of Cameroon, took Cameroon by surprise, presenting his resignation letter from the position of governor. In a letter addressed to the President of the Republic of Cameroon, George Ashu Mofo gave 5 major reasons why he decided to part ways with the Biak government, putting his prestigious position of governor of the East Province then. He says the Minister of Territorial Administration, for reasons other than professional, was doing everything possible to jeopardize the normal exercise of his duties, coupled with a hostile attitude from the then company commander of the area. Furthermore, he revealed that he was being subjected to pressure of all types from the minister, who consistently accused him of alleged affiliations with the opposition in Cameroon. He says he has been a subject of a systematic blackmail aimed at forcing him to change his resolve to save his people impartially in the East region. The then governor also revealed that he faced numerous difficulties to fully implement democracy and the democratic principles to which he sincerely adhered. Regarding the last straw that broke the camel's back, The then governor said massive irregularities and electoral fraud were recorded in his area of command during the presidential election of the 11th October 1992. Taking into account the above facts, Governor Ashu George Mofo said all was not in accordance with his conscience and his duty to the East region and Cameroon in general, so he prefers to resign. A resignation that came as a bombshell to the Cameroonian people and the Biya regime, largely dominated by sit-tight top government officials. George Ashu Mofo later moved to the United States of America, where he lived till the last days of his life. He will then be remembered for his courage, bravery, and integrity.
And may the soul of Pa George Ashu Mofo rest in perfect peace. Now to something else. The Nigerian Immigration Service has arrested 90 foreigners involved in cyber crimes. 85 of the suspects are from Cameroon, 5 from Chad, and 4 from Nigeria. When interrogated, the foreign nationals didn't present resident cards or valid travel documents. Asa Lucilengu has more.
The Rivers State Command of the Nigeria Immigration Service, INS, has arrested 90 foreigners in connection to cyber crimes. The suspects were apprehended during a joint operation with other security agencies following credible intelligence reports that enabled them to track their hideout. Rivers State Comptroller Immigration Yi Abdul Majid confirmed that a total of 94 individuals were arrested, with 90 being foreign nationals. Also, the profile of the suspects revealed that 85 were from Cameroon, 5 from Chad, and 4 from Nigeria. The group consisted of 74 male and 20 female. And according to Abdul Majid, all 90 foreigners entered Nigeria illegally through unauthorized entry points and failed to provide residence cards or valid travel documents when interrogated. Meanwhile, 2 Nigerian nationals from Rivers State who were found guilty of providing accommodation for the suspects were also arrested in connection with the crime. However, in response to the arrest, the Comptroller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, Kemi Nana Nandap, has ordered the immediate deportation of the foreign nationals to their respective countries of origin.
Now, the Central African government has announced that their former minister and current leader of the Military Committee for Salvation and Recovery, Amelminga Dalum Sayo, was arrested in the city of Douala by security forces. He is accused of trying to overthrow the government of his country. Sayo is still in Cameroon awaiting extradition to Bangui, where he will be judged. Our reporter Malaglory tells us more in the following report.
The Central African government on Monday confirmed the arrest of rebel leader Amelminga Dalum Sayo in Cameroon, who, according to report, is threatening to forcefully overthrow the government of Central Africa. This arrest, according to Maxime Balalu, Central African Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson, is to prevent a neighboring state from being used to destabilize another country. He goes further to explain that it is also the government's desire to guarantee the security of the Central African population. The Central African government confirmed that Amelminga Dalum Sayo, former minister and current leader of the Military Committee for Salvation and Recovery, an armed group active in the north, was arrested last Friday in Douala. Balalu said the Cameroonian justice are closely following the case and taking normal procedures while respecting the principles of international law. The rebel leader is still being held in Cameroon, awaiting extradition to Bangui, the Central African capital, where he has been charged with undermining internal and external security of the state, criminal conspiracy and involvement in network aimed at destabilizing Central African institutions.
Malaglory, ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is JITZI George Tando. He is a journalist and political analyst based in the United States of America. And we'll be looking at how the new executive orders of the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, will possibly change America and equally affect the African continent. Good evening, Mr. George Tando. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, Immaculate. It's my pleasure being on Equinoxe once more. Thanks for having me.
Donald Trump becomes the 47th President of the United States of America. His comeback into the White House has been termed by many as a miracle. What's your overall appreciation of this inaugural speech?
Thank you once more, Immaculate. Trump's inaugural speech was very juicy and soul-searching. And I see it so radically nationalistic, as he was using very patriotic approach to the cheering crowd. In Trump's speech, he thinks that his tenure should be described as the golden age for America. And these followed a number of declarations that he made during his speech, followed by numerous executive orders that he signed, amongst which, which are the declaration, Trump's declaration of a national emergency in the southern borders, which has been a serious challenge to the American immigration system and even security. There was also the national energy emergency, which, if implemented, is going to greatly solve the problem of high prices in gas or fuel. Then amongst those executive orders, you discovered that Trump, in one of the orders, withdraws America or U.S. from the World Health Organization. It's a very significant executive order, which I think is going to affect a lot of things. Then ending the birthright citizenship, and also the gender-affirming care practices, which is going to end, according to Donald Trump. He started this right during his, right from when he was moving around doing his campaigns, and he actually signed these executive orders. Then the question is whether they are going to be implemented 100%. And in his speech, you also found out that Trump says he's going to disengage U.S. from funding foreign wars, meaning you may not see U.S. soldiers anywhere again during his tenure to fight wars out of the United States, amongst many, many, many executive orders.
Now, George Tando, President Donald Trump pledged to defeat inflation, provide low-cost energy, cut taxes, raise wage, and return thousands of factories. Are you convinced that President Donald Trump will be able to turn things around for Americans, as he claims?
The world is faced with global inflation, which is a very serious thing. It's a global problem. So I don't know how he intends to deal with inflation within America. And the inflation rate stands at, I think, 5.9%, which could potentially contribute to a significant economic downturn, which is equally what is affecting America today. It's not from within America. It's a global problem, and it takes a global approach to solve inflation. But I must say, if Trump succeeds to withdraw U.S. from the World Health Organization, where he is a very big contributor, withdraws America from the Paris climate agreement, where America is contributing hugely, withdraws or disengages the U.S. Army from participating or U.S. from funding foreign wars, I think that will mean returning huge sums of billions of dollars in the U.S. coffers, which could be used to solve some of these internal problems that America is facing. It could be possible that we are looking for the implementation of these policies first. If not, they are going to face a lot of challenges, implementing them, or making things to happen the way he sounded in his speech. But of course, Americans, they all welcomed what he said, because everyone loves to hear the issue of increasing wages, cutting down taxes, and of course cutting down costs of energy and stuff like that. It's a welcome idea by Americans, but fingers are crossed to see how this is going to be possible.
Now, Trump claims illegal immigrants are to be blamed for the challenges faced by Americans. In the first hour of his presidency, he promised to declare a national emergency at the national border in order to end what he qualifies as chaos. Do you think deporting millions of illegal immigrants will do more good than harm to America?
Yeah, the first thing I would love to say here is, how possible would the Trump administration deport millions of people living in the U.S., millions of illegal immigrants, so to speak? Because according to records, there are about 11 million undocumented aliens living in the United States. And I take into consideration too the cost of deporting just one person, not to talk of millions. I know it will be possible to deport as many as hundreds of thousands, if that could be possible according to Trump's speech. But deporting millions of people, I don't find it very difficult. It will be very costly for the U.S. government to do so. It will cost billions of dollars. And again, to say that the insecurity in the U.S. and the chaos in the U.S. is caused by illegal immigrants, I don't think I buy that idea, because when you go through the news, the shootings and all what takes place here, you find out that even real Americans at times they are involved in some of this chaos. So I don't think deporting all the illegal immigrants in the U.S. would stop crime and chaos. I don't think so.
Do you think the election of Donald Trump may influence Africa? Yeah, I'm talking about conventions, aid, and bilateral ties.
First of all, Immaculate, Trump said nothing about, he made no mention about Africa. And this did not surprise me. He focused more on America. Like I said, he took a nationalistic approach, very radical nationalistic approach to put America first. And it would affect Africa in the sense that if U.S. pulls out from the World Health Organization, where she is the greatest contributor, contributing about 18% alone to the budget of World Health Organization, which is about, I think, $6 billion. It's a lot of money, maybe budget for some African countries combined. If this happens, it means many countries in Africa that have been dependent on the World Health Organization for funding of infectious disease campaigns against infectious disease and epidemics, pandemics, and all the like, they are going to face a lot of challenges. U.S. gives aid to a lot of African countries through bilateral agreements and through the World Health Organization, like I just said, and through military aid and all the like. And if his policies, if Trump policies are actually implemented, many African countries are going to, be affected. But I think it teaches a lesson to African countries to also think of, withdraw. In fact, this dependency mentality, maybe they will give a second thought to that and start thinking of, developing their own, economic sectors, their own factories and industries, and not to depend on the West anymore. And, during the COVID-19 pandemic, U.S. stood out distinguished in fighting this pandemic, and even distributed drugs or the vaccines free of charge to countries. And this was done out of U.S. budget alone. But withdrawing from the World Health Organization, some of these, agreements that U.S. has or had with the United Nations would be tampered with. So it's going to affect Africa in one way or the other. But I think Africa should start, thinking of, doing their own, not depending on the West anymore.
Thank you so much, George Tando, for accepting my invitation.
Thank you, Immaculate. It was my pleasure sharing with you. Thanks to this wonderful team, and kudos to the management of Equinoxe Television.
That's what we gathered for you on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always choosing Equinoxe TV. Coming up next in some few minutes is the program Equinoxe Soir, presented by Serge Along Otto. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening and see you tomorrow same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.